Closing up shop here at Overtime on WOTM. First off, we'll have a whole lot coming up next week here on our program. Obviously, with the NFL draft, about 8 days from today, been a whole lot of buzz about everything, especially when it comes to the quarterback situation. We could have 5 quarterbacks taken in that first round. One of them expected to be Mac Jones. Will he go 3 overall to San Francisco? Will he drop maybe down to 15 where Bill Belichick and the Patriots are? Maybe drop even further than that.
I hope not.
We have Trevor Lawrence. Where does Justin Fields go? Where does Trey Lance go?
Trey Lance.
There's a lot of different things as it relates to the draft. Before we dive into that next week, what were some of the things that you're looking forward to as kind of these teams start to do the last little bit of wheeling and dealing with picks before the Jags officially go on the clock?
Well, if I survive my second shot, I got to get my Pfizer number 2 shot. Everybody get a shot, just in case. You never know. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But look, I love the NFL draft. You know what I really love is all those psychos that are there screaming.
Right.
Their whole lives are based around wearing a hat or wearing a helmet and then screaming at the guy who's making the picks. And you always have those guys there that are right there in the front row.
Right.
It's funny how it's grown since like the early 80s where you had the real people that needed help. And now you have pretty much, it's like a holiday for some of these guys. It's almost like the sports version of Comic-Con.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because these guys just go there and they live for it and they're having a great time. And I mean, I've been to the NFL drafts a couple times and it's a lot of fun.
Right.
The players really love it. It's become an event. And last year, if you remember how many viewers it got because it was taking place at a time where we were just so desperate for entertainment.
Anything in sports.
Like 77 million people watched it. You saw like Belichick's dog, hanging out. I mean, it was interesting. I don't want to see it again, but I'm much happier now that we can do things kind of the way it's been. But one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is some of the guys that are getting put down a little bit because of who they played for, or maybe their weight, or they're not NFL ready. I think a lot of that is overvalued. Mel Kiper Jr. said it today too. It doesn't matter once you get in the NFL, can you play?
Right.
And I think with Devonta Smith and Mac Jones, more than any quarterback, I think, can make options and make decisions quickly. And he goes through his reads very quickly. That's what I like about him. I think that'll translate really well in the pros, so we'll see.
So many questions to answer between now and then. Atlanta's got that number 4 pick. They have a chance to maybe take Kyle Pitts with that number 4 pick out of Florida. Maybe go get a quarterback, but do they need one because they already have Matt Ryan? And do they just go get help on the defensive side? So many different questions to answer for not just Atlanta, but for all teams. And you see how the dominoes will fall after teams make their moves up and trades go up and down. We do expect quarterbacks to go 1, 2, 3. After that, we have no idea. And what quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3 is another big thing. So I think that this year's draft, I think, will be so interesting. Have a lot of different storylines. You mentioned a great point about it now being crazy, and you call it an event. And I think that's the biggest thing. They've made it a made-for-television event. Put that first round there on its own night there on a high-watch night on Thursday. Friday, you got round 2. Then it fills up the weekend as well. It should be an interesting time. And Cleveland, Ohio, it's another thing about this draft I really like. They moved it from New York, and they kind of bounced it around the country, and you see how much this love for this draft gets. We'll dive into a whole lot coming up next week as we get more clarity on the NFL draft. Mark will be in the house. We'll have that coming up for you next week. Speaking of next week, that is when we'll see you back here on Monday night next week. We'll have Mark in the house. Thank you so much for joining us here on Overtime on WOTM. We'll see you on Monday.